Check. Check, check. Microphone check. 1, 2. What is it? Oh, I suppose. If I could remember my goddamn Twitter password. It's the one that I typed in like 6 times.
All right. We are live. So, are you ready for college football, Tom?
I'm born ready.
Man, I mean, we got, what, 3 full days of college football, and then Oklahoma begins the season.
Well, I guess I hadn't thought about it that way, but yeah.
And by full days, I mean, Thursday and Friday, basically.
That's a full slate. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, several
Can't
games.
I suppose you could play at noon on Thursday, but that'd be weird.
Yeah. Rest to PG-13. 4 ranked games tomorrow. Let's go.
May want to update that handle, bro.
But yeah, no, it should be good. It should be awesome.
What are those games? I spent this afternoon writing about them, but I don't remember.
So Thursday we've got
Clemson and Georgia Tech.
Clemson, Georgia Tech. Central Florida plays. Texas
yeah.
A&M. Texas A&M plays.
Do they?
Yep, they play Texas State. We've
That
got
one didn't.
the Holy War.
Okay, Texas.
Number 14, Utah.
Texas A&M did not come across my radar at all.
FML.
Mm.
He says FML.
Oh. And we'll get to that. We'll get to that Thunder talk. Once we get close to the season. We won't.
Let's see. Friday we've got Michigan State Tulsa. You pumped for that?
No, the game I've got my eye on is the Oklahoma State Oregon State game on Friday.
Yeah, that should be good. I mean, Oregon State is pretty bad, but
the slugfest that is going to be Rutgers and UMass is also something worth watching.
Ooh, that's got a Cheez-It Bowl potential.
Don't insult the Cheez-It Bowl like that. Did Mike Trout not start tonight?
Don't know. Didn't see. I know Oregon State is a dumpster fire, but I'm picking them in an upset. Well,
no.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it. For once, Oklahoma State has a decent offensive line and a hell of a running back. Yeah, I don't think it matters who you put at quarterback. They might win that game just on the ground.
Chuba Hubbard's going to be something special for him.
Yeah, he's good. He's definitely good. What about Wisconsin, South Florida? Does that do anything for you? It's a good group of 5 team.
In the grand scheme of Friday games, no, not really.
That is at South Florida, by the way.
That still doesn't do anything for me, though. I like, when it comes to these early season matchups, I like Power 5 versus Power 5s. That's kind of what I'll look for. Any kind of ranked team, see where they are compared to last year. And, it's real hard to just immediately jump into the season and compare, one game against 12, 13 from last year. But some of these, they can be a pretty good barometer. I mean, on Thursday, UCLA and Cincinnati. Now, it's not a ranked game.
Right.
It's not a Power 5 versus Power 5. But UCLA is a real intriguing team. One, they show up on Oklahoma's schedule. But two, year 2 under Chip Kelly, will we be able to see some improvement from them?
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I can't imagine a Chip Kelly team being down, especially as kind of bad on offense as they were. Can't see them being down for too long.
Well, he needs to. I don't think. We don't follow the recruiting as closely as we should, or we potentially will. But I don't think UCLA recruited as well as they did before he got there.
You hear that?
What's that?
We've got a first subscriber. The first subscriber on the channel. Thank you very much. Forensics is cool.
Oh, okay. That's just passing your money around.
I have no idea who that is.
I'm sure.
I really
don't even know where I was going here. Oh, recruiting Chip Kelly. It's gonna take a couple of recruiting cycles for him to get his guys in there. I think we're gonna see an improvement from UCLA this year. I think maybe they'll be middle of the Pac-12. But they're still a year or two away from really truly competing for that conference title.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, though, is a good barometer game to see where they're at, though. If they were playing, who gives a shit, State, Tech, Southeast, like some of these teams do, you're not going to get that same kind of view of them.
Yeah. What do you think of Oregon-Auburn?
I think that we've got my week in review / preview article is going to drop tomorrow, and I went pretty hard on the Pac-12. To be honest, that's a little insight. We'll try and have that up tomorrow morning sometime. That being said, I think that is a winnable game for Oregon. Auburn's a team that I never trust. They can as easily go 4-8 or go 8-4. I think this is the year that finally does Malzahn in.
Think so? Think he can pull out miracles like he did last time?
No, and just in that league, they're marching out a freshman quarterback.
Yeah,
and when you're marching out a freshman quarterback into a game, that's probably the best game of the entire weekend. What's that? The 6:30 game on Saturday.
That is actually at noon. I guess 11 probably here.
Oregon and Auburn.
Yeah, what I'm seeing here at least.
I think what you're seeing is wrong. I'm seeing 6:30 at ABC.
Did that recently change?
I doubt it. I imagine that one's been set for a while. I mean, it's one of those kickoff games at AT&T Stadium in Arlington.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if AT&T Stadium in Arlington, that's a big venue for one. That's the game that not everyone, but a good portion of the people are going to be watching. Georgia at Vanderbilt, SEC people. Uh, Michigan, Middle Tennessee isn't going to do anything for anybody nationally. Miami and Iowa.
Yeah.
So most eyes are going to be on that Oregon Auburn game. And I haven't trusted Auburn. I don't trust Auburn, and I'm not going to start now.
Yeah. I think I'm with you. I think the quarterbacks are going to be the difference. Herbert's kind of a veteran in college football as I guess you can kind of get. And like you said, Auburn's trotting out a freshman. What do you think of Texas Louisiana Tech?
What do I actually think about it?
Yeah.
Texas has the talent to win this game. Do they have the backfield? Who knows? If that's a thing, they've got guys that are hurt. I think maybe suspended, and so they're down to was it 0 scholarship running backs?
Yeah, something like that.
When you've got essentially a fullback as a quarterback, you can get away with it in a game like this. Now, if this goes on throughout the season, then it's going to be a lot tougher for them to manage.
Jesse James, Bob Diaco, La Tech, defensive coordinator, lol.
Yeah, I wish we had that Terry Bradshaw soundbite. How he'll take his guys against the 5As any day.
Yeah, the 5As. I love Terry Bradshaw. He's pretty great. I mean, he's great now because I feel like he's gotten to that point where he's just gonna say whatever the hell he wants.
And yeah, I mean, why shouldn't he? He's been on TV forever. He's probably got enough money that if Fox is like, well, you know what, we're done with you. He's like, all right, I'm going to go home and just be a crazy old man there.
Yeah. We've also got, let's see. We have Washington State in action. What do you think of Washington State this year? Mike Leach, new quarterback.
Mike Leach, new quarterback. The Pac-12, I think they've got a chance to win the North. I think we both... were you a Utah guy winning that conference?
Yeah, I'm a Utah guy.
I think that division could come down to the Apple Cup at the end of the season. Between them and Washington.
Yeah.
As far against New Mexico State, Washington State should win that one with ease. Let's see here.
I kind of want to see Ohio State versus Florida Atlantic and the Fighting Lane Kiffins.
That was one of the games that really intrigued me. You've got several storylines there. I mean, Lane Kiffin is his own storyline. Just year in and year out. He's been popping up on my Twitter feed more often with jumping in on the block charges and videos of that nature. He jokingly, I assume it was jokingly, maybe it was serious, I don't know. But there was a block charge the other day where it's like 6-year-olds playing football and some kid came and truck sticked another kid and he's like, you got an offer to play linebacker at FAU.
Florida Atlantic scored over 30 points a game last year. I did not know that.
Well, I don't think.
I mean, it's not surprising.
No, that's not. That's never going to be the issue of a Lane Kiffin team. Again, it's a week one. Just talent disparity. Like Ohio State just has much more pure talent than Florida Atlantic does. I imagine this game might go real similar to the game that that Florida Atlantic played last year against Oklahoma. I think it's the
Hmm. Yeah.
same kind of deal. Uh, but the thing for me in that game, it's not Lane Kiffin. Keep in mind this will be Ryan Day's first game as like official head coach. He coached those 3 games when Meyer was suspended, shadow suspended, or whatever that was. Uh, and what he does and how he uses Justin Fields.
Yeah. I'm kind of. I feel like I'm gonna follow Ohio State through the season because I think we talked about it on a previous stream, but I think they're gonna be good, but I think they're gonna lack that kind of that head coach that gets them through the tough game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when the players aren't playing their best, I don't know that they're going to have that guy. I mean, Ryan Day could be that guy, but they're definitely not going to have the other guy.
He could be that guy at some point, maybe not
Right.
necessarily this year.
Right. That kind of veteran coach that kind of gets them through.
Well, and I think another reason why you're probably interested in this is because while it's not a perfect mirror, there are similarities between the Ohio State transfer of power and the Oklahoma transfer of power. From you know Meyer just essentially handing off the baton. There wasn't a firing or resignation or anything. It was as peaceful as it could go. Again, not a direct comparison. Uh,
Oh no.
but it,
Dagadoga. Ryan Day looks like the Bucky's logo, to be honest.
Photoshop up something for us real quick.
Oh, that's rough. That's cold. But I mean,
Uh,
his teeth do kind of look fake, almost like yeah.
so so
He's a
for
weird looking dude.
so for Ohio State this year, do you think what do you think the bigger thing will end up being Justin Fields or Ryan Day? What's going to be the bigger impact, I guess?
I think well, the thing everybody's going to talk about is Justin Fields. I mean, whether he is great or he's a bust, that's what people are going to talk about because it's most direct. It's what we watch. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you can't really, unless Ryan Day starts pulling some less miles instead of kicking a field goal to win the game, chucking it to the corner of the end zone kind of crap.
That is still one of the craziest plays like and decisions I've ever seen.
I think it's gonna come. I think it's gonna be Justin Fields. That's the story here. Jesse James, Justin Fields' lack of experience at QB bugs me. Kid started one varsity year in high school, basically zero college experience. Talent is there for sure. Yeah, I didn't. We all know that he didn't have much playing time, but he was a highly touted player, obviously, and he won the Ohio State job, which you know I'm sure they have other quarterbacks, but it's probably going to take some work to do something like that. I mean, you don't just walk into a place like Ohio State and someone just hands you the quarterback job.
No, no. But like I was saying, like the interesting thing to me is going to be how they use him. Are they going to use him? They're not going to platoon him essentially like Georgia did. He's going to. How many times are they going to run the ball with him? Designed runs. And I think it was something I was reading on the Athletic. They were saying how long are they going to keep him in? Maybe certain blowouts, just to try and get him a better feel for their passing game, and that's something to look out for too.
Yeah, I wonder how the scheme is going to change with Ryan Day. Didn't Ryan Day come from the Chip Kelly kind of lineage? I'm not sure he's a through and through Urban Meyer guy. So the scheme itself might look a little different. Might look a little different than the Ohio State we're kind of used to.
He played at New Hampshire under Chip Kelly, who was the offensive coordinator there.
Got you. We've got Barrios is the over hitting on Sunday. What's that over under at?
I haven't even seen the line. I think the line, last I saw the line, I didn't see the over. The line was at like 22.5.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I wouldn't be surprised if it's over. Let's see. I think I put it, my prediction was 52-28 that I gave earlier. So that would be 24. I was looking through most of the metrics, like predictive indexes and stuff. Most put the spread at somewhere from 21 to 24. I saw seemed to be consensus.
Yeah, I'm seeing 23.5 right now. Over under.
What's the over under?
Looks like around 79.5, 80.
I think. Ooh, that's gonna be close. I think.
Yeah, those people that make these lines, they do for a living. They're really good at it.
I'll say over.
And what was your score?
52-28.
All right, so like right around there.
Yeah.
No, we'll give it to you. All right, it's 80, and so you're going to call a push here.
What about our game? What about Oklahoma Houston? We need to get into that.
Do we?
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, like I feel like we've been getting into it, since April. Spring game happened, and then it all turned here. Like I mean, we talk. We know Holgerson. We know what he's about.
Yeah.
I think you dug into the Houston defensive metrics at one point.
Yeah. So they were similarly bad, Oklahoma and Houston last season.
They were actually like some of them were actually worse.
Yeah.
Which to me was quite impressive.
But I think the big thing is Oklahoma returns like 81% of their production from last season, while Houston. Sorry. Somebody came in.
Was it a dog?
No, my wife came in. Houston returns only 40% of theirs. So
now,
but they went. Holgerson kind of went shopping in the offseason, went and grabbed a bunch of JUCO and transfer guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how good they are, but we'll see.
So, what kind of stock do you put in the returning production on the defensive side of the ball? Because you said Oklahoma's bringing back 81% of their production from last year, but 100% of their stuff was garbage.
Well, sure, that's true. And sometimes you need, especially with a new scheme, maybe you need new faces. But
in new places.
I mean, I don't know this for sure, but I would imagine that having somebody progressing in a natural progression and that's still there is going to be, more consistent than having somebody brand new and, they went from not as good as the guy last year and to better than the guy was last year. You know what I mean? Like
All right.
that obviously happens. That obviously happens because teams get better, but it I'm sure doesn't happen for every position group, for every player. So
All right, so we were talking how these teams compared. These are the 2018 NCAA rankings comparison. Points allowed per game. Oklahoma was 101st. Houston 119th. First downs allowed 122nd for Oklahoma, 129th for Houston. Rushing yards a game 59th for Oklahoma, 57th for Houston. So, pretty much essentially the same. Passing yards allowed, 130th for Oklahoma, 124th for Houston. Total defense, 114th Oklahoma, 127th Houston.
yeah, those are not good numbers.
No. So, I mean, defense, don't want to say optional because that'll be completely against what Oklahoma's tried to do this year. And, we talked briefly about De'Aaron King on the last one. He's the kind of guy, he's the kind of quarterback that has given Oklahoma, trouble in the past.
He is. And the thing is, like, yes, he can run. He's fast. He's athletic. But this guy's a bona fide passer. And this guy had a passing efficiency over, better than names like Justin Herbert, Drew Lock, even Trevor Lawrence last season. I mean, this guy's efficient with the ball, and he doesn't give it up. He was tied for 5th last season with Kyler Murray in touchdowns per touchdown to interception rate at 6 touchdowns per interception. So
he was in the top 5 or so in total touchdowns responsible for, right? And he even missed the last 2.5 games.
Yeah, he missed 2 games and still had 50 touchdowns on the season. So this guy's legit. He is going to score. He's going to make things happen. It's just a matter of, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I think something to watch is like tackles for loss in the game, because something that kind of, I know, annoyed me is just the aggressiveness of the team. Defenders didn't seem to be, crowding around the ball. There was only ever like 1 or 2 people there. And, Lord knows we didn't get a pass rush or have anybody near the line of scrimmage to, really take advantage of those long developing plays and, get people down for a loss. And so it might be a sign of kind of the scheme. There's more tackles for loss. We might be being a little more aggressive, which would be nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think alongside that, it's going for me. It'll be, and I think it plays into that is yards after contact for Houston.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a big thing last season. People just didn't wrap up. I mean, it was like basic defense stuff. Jesse James says that I think most of his wide receivers are returning. His top 3 receivers last season are returning this season. So, and one of which had over 1,000 yards last season.
Oh, well, that's fun.
Yeah. Dagadoga, I expect points to be put up, but I just want to see aggression from the defense. Same here.
Now we're using that term aggression, and the entire offseason has been about forcing turnovers, getting the ball back for the offense. Now, are you willing to sacrifice maybe a bigger play, missed tackle for those more aggressive, like go for the ball, maybe a strip or go for that interception?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if it's either that or do what we did, what Oklahoma did last year. I mean, they're going to score either way. So
If
you
it's
might.
try and be bad or just be bad, you would rather there's an attempt.
Yes, absolutely. Sooner 25-4-1-1. What do you realistically expect from the defense? So I was asked during my call in on CBS Sports Radio 105.3 in Oklahoma City. What's a point total that Oklahoma can allow, and you'll be like, okay, that's fine, and you know that's decent. I'll be happy with it. And I said 28 points.
What has it been the last few years?
So the last few years, let's see, in 2018, Oklahoma gave up 33.
33.3.
Yeah, 33.3 last season. In 2017, gave up 27.1.
So just 2 years ago it was 27.1.
Yes, 28.8 the year before that. So last year was particularly bad. But I think this is a legitimate offense. And I think that if you can hold Houston to 28 points, I think that's better than what last year's defense would have done.
Okay.
So I think that's an
that
okay thing.
That 28 points a game, where does that rank them nationally? Do you know?
28. If they averaged 28 points now.
I mean, last year, where would 28 points been?
Oh, last year, 28 points would have put Oklahoma at 78th in the country.
And I think that's the ballpark that you and I have been discussing when they've asked, what's a realistic goal for the defense. Some people are throwing out top 50, and I think that's a bit of a stretch. If Oklahoma does that, then they're playing for a national championship.
Yeah.
But I think 75 is realistic, and I think they're in the conversation.
Yeah, I think that is realistic, and I'm excited to see kind of where it goes. Let's see, what do we got in the chat here?
More than need average for a team to get a playoff win. Talking defensive points per game. Now, weren't you looking at yards per game difference earlier today?
So yeah, today I was looking at. I've always said it's not how good your defense is, it's not how good your offense is, it's the margin between the two. And I was looking at yards gained per play and yards allowed per play. I went back over the college football playoff era, so the last 5 years. And I calculated everybody's margin on yards per play. And of the 20 playoff teams that there have been, 17 of them had a margin of a positive 1.5 yards per play. So they gained 1.5 yards per play more than they gave up. The 3 that made the playoff that didn't meet that mark ended up losing their semifinal game, a combined 127-23. They were the ones that didn't belong.
The ones that there was discussion. Was it like Washington, maybe? Notre Dame?
It was Notre Dame, Florida State, and Michigan State.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Notre Dame actually had a negative margin. They actually, over the season, gave up more yards per play than they gained. But I thought that was really telling, and all 5 champions were above 1.5. But it's kind of one of those. It's a good indicator, or it seems to be a good indicator, especially later in the season. That's kind of easy to calculate, kind of easy to keep track of.
Yeah. Back to the OU Houston game. Turnovers caused by Oklahoma.
I wouldn't expect many turnovers in this game caused by Houston or caused by Oklahoma. Houston, well, especially De'Aaron King, he's very good at taking care of the ball. I wouldn't freak out if there's no turnovers. That's just one game. Turnovers are very noisy. They fluctuate a lot. And I would not be surprised at all if there are no turnovers forced in Sunday's game. Sunday's game is weird to say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a very, very long weekend. I think it was last year that Army game, didn't kick off until 6:00, and we're like, what do we do? I mean, there's other football games on, but nothing that I care about. So what do I do with my hands, essentially, while sitting here waiting for all these games to be played?
You're supposed to fill them with a beer, Tom.
No. Yeah. All of my beer is in a trash can right now. I had so much beer in the fridge. Big storm came through Oklahoma City earlier this week and knocked out power at my apartment for like at least 14 hours. I'm not exactly sure how long it was out. So we had to toss everything in the fridge. I was like, I think the beer will be fine. And so just to put it somewhere while we were trying to clean out the fridge, all of it is in a trash can right now, and like it filled the thing. So,
Sooner 25-4-1-1. Will a Pac-12 team get in the playoff this year?
Nope.
I don't think so either.
Pac-12 sucks.
Now, if there's an undefeated team coming out of the Pac-12, sure.
Won't be.
I don't think there will be.
I think Hawaii might win the Pac-12.
So Dagadoga says, forget all this college football talk. Predictions for the inaugural Ryan Berglund Memorial Golf Tournament.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that one to the people.
Yeah, this is going to be... So...
It's going to sound weird.
This is going to sound really weird.
BRB.
So a long time ago, years ago, I found a koozie. This koozie, it said Ryan Berglund Memorial Golf Tournament. I had no idea what that was. But it was a free koozie, or I think I actually paid like 50 cents for it at Goodwill. But I still use it. I've always used it. And this year, we're actually going to play a Ryan Berglund Memorial Golf Tournament. My predictions are Tom and myself are going to win. So, there you go. There's the story of the RBMGT. Let's see. No turnovers. I assume that's turnovers, not timeouts. No turnovers and some key stops might not freak everyone out too badly. Yeah, I think if you can make some good stops, that'll be good, and that'll be enough to kind of calm the masses. If you know what I mean, I think people might be a little too overzealous for this ball hawking. Go get interceptions, get up for it. I just I don't know. I think I just don't see it happening. De'Aaron King just takes care of the ball too well. I just don't see it being a thing. I mean, there's also fumbles and everything. You never know, but a lot of times that stuff is the fluky stuff. The helmet goes right where it should, and that's that. turnovers are weird. Turnovers are noisy, statistically very noisy and random. I think I mentioned this on the previous stream, but if you go back in the last decade and you take the top 5 teams in forced turnovers from each year, 39 different teams show up in that list. I mean, nobody can maintain that kind of turnover production. Sure, you can be better than other teams at it, but it's very hard to find the significant change in the random fluctuation.
When I see some other people mentioning it, yes, the turnovers are nice, and that's been the big emphasis this year. But getting off the field on third downs, getting off the field in the red zone, uh, those are going to make, I think, just as big of an impact as getting those. Those are essentially turnovers compared to last year.
Right. I mean, it's a lot better than last year. I mean, I'll take a fair caught ball at the 15 if it means we're not giving them 7.
Mm-hmm.
B.A. Brown, Sooner 25411, Grumpy, LT Dangles. Thanks for the follows, guys and gals.
Running back 3, who's that going to be?
I have heard a lot about Marcus Majors getting some, maybe getting some significant playing time. The transfer Stevenson.
Ramondre?
Yeah. Is he a JUCO or a transfer? He's a JUCO. I heard he's really good. He's a real deal. Could get some carries. Very deep running back crew. What do you think, Tom? I think it's going to be Kennedy Brooks and Trey Sermon show for the most part. But there are going to be those instances where we got to have somebody else in, late game blowouts. Somebody's got to go in.
Looking in here, B.A. Brown 12 thinks Pledger's gone after this year. So I think he is probably thinking that it's going to be either Majors or Stevenson being that third back on the eventually to be released maybe depth chart.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good problem to have, talking about speculating these really talented guys who's going to be the third on the depth chart.
Yeah. Like you said, it's a good problem to have.
Right.
But I think it's going to be one of those things that it's going to sort itself out in the first couple of games. I think we'll figure it out very quickly. Who that guy is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing about in the chat they're mentioning Ramondre is a big guy. He's a stout dude. I think he's over 200 pounds. Big kid, wide kid.
If you're looking for someone in mop-up duty, what kind of back are you looking for? Like you personally?
Mop-up duty, you mean like goal line, 3rd and 1?
Well, kinda... I mean, you were talking about just guys to get in, at the end of the games here.
You'd hope it was somebody who is going to, kind of get snaps as experience because they're going to be the main person going forward.
Sure.
I think we have that. Especially with the freshmen majors.
TJ Pledger last year had 30 attempts for 181 yards. Excuse me, 179 yards. Averaged 6 yards an attempt.
Yeah, the Oklahoma running backs did very well in average. That's a testament to the O line.
8.9 for Kennedy Brooks, 7.2 for Kyler Murray, 5.8 for Trey Sermon.
Yeah.
Rodney Anderson was at 10.8 when he went down.
Good grief. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely wild. Yeah, I mean, hopefully the O-line can stand up and let these guys run because, I mean, we know they can. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I think we'll see majors early. I don't know how much, like, into conference play and stuff, but
you think he's going to be a red shirt kind of guy? Get him in, get his feet wet?
Probably.
Get in those 4 games?
Yeah, probably.
Unless you take the hits. You know, we thought Oklahoma had depth last year, and they took some hits. You know, Rodney Anderson went down, and then later in the season, too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Speaking of redshirt rule and 4 games, do we see Spencer Rattler in this game?
In this first game?
In this first game.
Do we see Spencer Rattler?
I mean, some of this depends on you know, kind of depth chart things. Did he beat Tanner Mordecai? Did he get even with Tanner Mordecai?
No. In the game notes, and I think this may be where a question we had in the last chat came from. Just give me a second here. Recapping. Hell, I can't find it.
To hell with it.
To hell with it. In Oklahoma's game notes, it mentioned Jalen Hurts being the starter and that Rattler was going to be third on the depth chart.
Okay. So does third on the depth chart mean he doesn't get any action this season? I can't imagine they wouldn't use him.
No. Here it is. After a competitive battle during August camp, head coach Lincoln Riley announced last Monday that senior Jalen Hurts will be OU's starting quarterback for the season opener against Houston. Redshirt freshman Tanner Mordecai will be his backup, and freshman Spencer Rattler will be third on the depth chart. I think you're probably
if not this first game, then when? When do you throw him in? South Dakota?
I think I would say you're probably more likely to see him against South Dakota.
Do you use more than one game? Do you use all 4 games?
Oh, absolutely. It's just you run into that potential injury question when you've only got 3 quarterbacks on scholarship, and so if you run into if you play that 4th one, if you play the first 4 games, you're holding your breath for 8, 9, 10 games.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be. You'll see him in action. I think you try and use him in 4. Injuries come, injuries don't come. And I think at the end of the day, the program's going to be better off if this kid plays as much as he can this first year, especially if he's a guy that's going to be your starting quarterback next year.
I absolutely agree. I like the 4-game thing for redshirt is a gift, and I don't know why you wouldn't use it. Every bit of it. But you're saying that not this first game. Do you think it's just a matter of this first game will be too close, too much of a game all the way through, or what?
I think you're still gonna if he's not gonna be your true backup, you don't want to take these will. While being, mop-up duty snaps, they're still valuable game-time snaps. And since he's not your primary backup, I don't know that you want to take all of those away from Mordecai. But as you get later into the game, maybe give him a drive or 2 in the 4th quarter if the game's out of hand. But you still want to keep your backup sharp, in case those injuries do happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Sooner 25411 says he will play in South Dakota, UCLA, Kansas, and Kansas State. And that's another thing is, I mean, at least myself, I was kind of thinking non-conference was when you'd kind of get these reps in. But
Mm-hmm.
there are some bad teams, and I don't think there's a limit on, there's not a point at which you have to declare red shirt. It's just
No, if
at
he
the end of
plays
the
in
season.
if he plays in 3 games, then he redshirted.
Right, right.
So
Yeah,
we'll
I mean
see.
that's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, there's some later season instances where we might see him.
And maybe that's more valuable for him, as Degadoga points out. He needs more time learning the playbook.
Yep.
He's a kid that just arrived on campus in summer. Granted, he's been following and recruited by Lincoln, so he's probably got an idea. But it might benefit him to just sit there, learn, and then the conference games, they're a whole different beast themselves. And when 9 of your games is part of the conference schedule, getting in those games and understanding how those work, because excuse me,
No cough button here at Blinkin Riley Presents. No cough button.
No. Just because you're going to see those teams the way the Big 12 works year in and year out.
Yeah, hey, that's a good point. That's a good point. We've got Sylvie or Buki at nickel. I feel like that's getting a little too deep. I don't know, kind of the difference. I haven't been at practice. I don't know. I don't even know how much nickel they're going to run. I think I remember Grinch saying that this was a couple of weeks ago, but that at the time Buki was the guy. But I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think on the
and defensive positions are a little weird because you don't like you name a starting quarterback, that quarterback is quarterback all game, right?
Sure.
You name a starting nickelback, and like they could split exactly half the time with someone else. Starter, quote unquote, on the defensive side of the ball is a little less important, I think.
With as bad as the defense was last year and the changes they're trying to implement, and not only the scheme, but kind of the attitude, it wouldn't surprise me if you see 4 different starting lineups the first 4 weeks on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. I mean, Grinch is new. He's only seen these guys in practice. He's got to see people play in games. So I imagine there's going to be a lot of in and out different personnel through these first few games for sure.
And he's not married to any of these guys. Like, these aren't his guys. He kind of just inherited them, and so he can look at them with a fresh set of eyes, a fresh perspective, a blank slate, if you will.
Exactly. I mean, it's not like he sat
in
these kids' parents' living room trying to, building relationships and all this stuff. I mean, he got here and he's taking inventory.
Mm-hmm. When and if does Levi Draper? I mean, this just goes back to the whole talk about the defense, how it could, be just a revolving door. And if you're playing well, you're going to be the guy. But if you're not, next man up kind of thing. So,
yeah, I totally agree. It's going to be a different attitude. I think there are no loyalties to players or what they should be playing or if they should be playing. I think he's really going to take care of that and really just, if you miss a tackle, if you're not performing, they'll find someone who will, as my old football coach used to say.
50 yards away. See here, off topic. I don't know what week I play you in fantasy football, Blinkin, but I plan on beating you this year.
I'm gonna say no, probably not. But we'll see. What's your team name? What's your team name in the fantasy football? Drop it in the chat. Jesse James, best players play. No seniority is all I hope. Play the best guys. It was frustrating not seeing Trey Brown on the field at times early last year. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things that we're not at practice. We don't see. We see things that happen in the games, but
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't necessarily, somebody makes a good play in a game, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're having good practices. They're not that they're engaged, if they're hustling, if there's a million different things why a coach would play someone over another person.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we see the games, and that's all we have to go on. The
Mm-hmm.
coaches and personnel see all of it. Not just games, not just practice, not just attitude during practice, but off the field, how they get along with teammates. Are they the best player, or do they play best with these players? Like, are they good in this unit? Are they good on their own? Like, there's a million different things that can go into that decision. So I don't know. I trust the guys to make a good decision, and hopefully the right decision, and not a biased one based on whatever loyalties to recruits or whatever.
So the chat has been
Parkinson's
diagnosed
disease.
with Parkinson's disease here.
That's his name. I think he's got that's the tight end's name
From
yeah,
Stanford,
it's from
apparently.
Stanford. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Well, do you need a running back? Because I've got some. We might work a trade. Because I do not have a very good tight end. You might have to change your team name if we trade.
No, I think that's in the bylaws of fantasy football. If you name your team after a guy and you get that guy, you have to keep that name or that player, whichever it may be. I'm not up to date on those specific rules. It's been a minute.
Uh, so, okay, here's a question. What are you
So,
laughing at?
no. You said that. Here's a question, and it just reminded me of that Bill Walton White Sox game from a couple of weeks ago. Jason Benetti started with, "I'm going to ask you a question," and Walton's response was, "You don't have to say that you're going to ask me a question because you're just going to ask it anyway. So let's cut down on this." He's like, "You're very right." He said, "Thank you for your patience." Anyway, you
Okay,
have a question.
so on game day, when do you like crack the first beer? I mean, is this as soon as you wake up? Do you have a certain time where you're like, okay, I'm not gonna drink a beer before like 8 a.m. Do you wait?
You you know
What are you doing here?
you know damn well of my habits.
I do.
Uh, uh, a lot of it depends on how much nonsense we got into the night before. Hmm.
Gotta get that
I'm
nursing beer out of the way, right?
I'm well known in my parts for what we've termed a nursing beer. It's that first beer that like every little drink, like your stomach, you just don't know if it's going to cooperate or not. Uh, and it, depending on how bad it is, it could take 15, 30, 45. It's taken me an hour before. But once you power through that, I think it depends on the enormity of the game. If it's a bigger game, then I got to get all riled up. And so, like, I'm getting through that nursing beer faster. I got to get to those regular beers. Uh, I think it depends on when
It depends
kickoff
on
actually
kickoff.
is.
Yeah, it depends
Depends
on
on
kickoff.
depends on what I'm doing for the game. Am I going to the game? Am I watching it at home? Am I watching it at a friend's house? Am I watching it at a bar? These are all factors. This weekend, it's going to be like 8:30
Man, I didn't
Sunday
know
morning.
I didn't know you were such a complex guy, Tom.
uh, I mean, there's a million factors going into this. And who knows that? Like, who's saying I'm starting with a beer? Yeah, I might need a shot of whiskey to get me going, and that's an
Ooh,
idea to get.
egg and a beer.
No, 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 no. Oh, JMA 9717, 12:30 on Friday.
Yes, that is the answer.
We've got a noon, 11 a.m. Now, are these specific for this weekend's games or this weekend's game?
No, this is just in general.
I'm asking the chat. I'm not asking you. I don't care what you say.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Owned. But no, I mean we've talked about it before. Our OU Texas, like, that starts on Wednesday, and we still have to work 2 days of the week.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, that's gonna be. What I'm afraid of is Sunday not having a game until, like, all day until evening. Like, how out of hand is that gonna get?
Well, the thing is, like we've dealt with, 6:30, 7 o'clock games before. We haven't dealt with a whole day of college football before that.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And we don't have college football to entertain us on that day, on Sunday. So it's going to be the wild, wild west when it comes to clobbering beers on Sunday.
Yeah, what are we even going to get into?
No, I told you. I already told you. I don't remember Sunday's game. I've got it DVR'd, so I'll come back to it at some point. On away games, if you aren't going to it or staying at home, what's your favorite place to watch the game?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question. That is a good question. Favorite place to watch the game?
Would you rather watch it at somebody's house, like a watch party? You want to go to a bar? Listen to it on the radio?
Are you asking me this time?
Fair enough. This is a general question for anybody. Anybody can answer this.
If it's an away game, my favorite place to watch a game is, like, home. I like to put on the big screen, get people around. The beers are cheaper. Maybe I'm getting old, but
it's just fiscally more responsible.
Yeah.
To watch this Oklahoma football game at home.
Yeah.
The home, not my home, somebody else's home, watch party. I think I enjoy that, being around other people. Now, typically that involves, like, being around you and your brothers and your dad, which can be pretty miserable at times. I love y'all to death, but holy hell.
That's fair.
That's fair. I don't mind watching it at a bar. It depends on the bar. I think I got to have a few, like, watching it at a bar by myself is annoying because the people want to, like, talk to me, and, like, I want nothing to do with these people. So yeah, I think I'm with you at the whole watch party thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Get to pick the food, get to pick the beer. I don't know. It's and the way
essentially pick the company.
And the broadcasts are so good nowadays. They're, like, immersive. You get to see every play. Some announcers are better than others, but
there are no commercials. There's no line for the bathroom. Like you said, the beer's cheaper.
Yep.
You don't have to deal with people standing on their seats in front of you or standing back on your seats.
That's true. That is true.
Oh, when do we stop drinking on Sunday?
Well, I think that depends on the outcome of the game.
Nah, it's all the same. It's just drinking with a different look on your face. Like a win, you're smiling. Like a loss, you're really mad, and I don't want to say frowny, but you're
Frowny.
you're very visibly upset as
This
you're drinking
loss, this loss has made me frowny.
that beer. I'm gonna write that down in my notebook. That one's coming up sometime. I don't know if it's an article or a tweet, but it is there.
1 a.m. Somebody says, J.D. Law. 1 a.m. You know, I would love to go to bed at 1 a.m., but my brothers are night owls. They just stay up.
Well, no, like they are out in the open area.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's because we're younger than you. Yeah, well, wait. It won't be too long before it's your turn.
Old Man River now.
I'm Old Man River now.
Can we ban Taylor from this?
Yeah. We can mute him. We can shadow ban him. He won't even know he's muted.
Win or loss also determines how bad the hangover will be. Ain't that the damn truth?
Yeah, that's true.
My dad actually, he's got so much Oklahoma just gear. He's part of a T-shirt of the month club now. Like, I didn't know that existed, but he's part of it.
Nice.
But if Oklahoma loses for the next week, he will only wear his black OU stuff because he's in mourning.
That's great. That's pretty great. Yeah, guys, if you like the show, go ahead and hit subscribe, or don't. I don't care.
We're gonna get a 500-word essay on why, though.
Why though? But yeah, we'll be doing these Wednesday nights and Sunday nights, excluding this Sunday because there'll be a game going on.
You certainly don't want a live feed of that.
So, keep it in mind. We hope you come out. It's been super fun. JD Law, thanks for the follow. Z Millie 35, thanks for the follow. But yeah, we're gonna be doing these regular, on the reg, as the kids say. Final thoughts, Tom. What do you got?
Well, I'm just glad we've reached that point in the off season where we're fixing to talk about real games. I think we hit on the Florida game last time, but when we next speak to each other, we're gonna have, I think, better analysis than, some guy should play defense at some point for Oklahoma. Everything, all of the preseason watch list, the 150th anniversary of college football list, like that season is over. Like we are about to finally see some action on the gridiron, and we've got it now through the middle of January, and that is very, very exciting.
Yes, I couldn't agree more, Tom. JD Law says one final. Does Texas still suck today? I'm going to say yes. Texas still sucks today.
I'm going to go ahead and get ahead of this one. Texas will suck tomorrow, the next day, and especially on Saturday.
So I think my final thought is I'm happy that games are going to be starting, but I mean especially because kind of my area, my forte is in stats, and stats have to have something happen for them to be there. They are what has happened, not will happen. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to have new data, new points, new things to look at. It's going to be fun. I'm so excited, so excited. Not just for Oklahoma, but for all of it to just you know, get underway. Nerd.
Tomorrow, my weekend review, my preview thing. We'll put that up sometime. It's garbage, but please enjoy.
Yeah. We're gonna have Tom. You're doing on Thursdays. You're doing weekend previews, right?
I'm doing whatever I want to do.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
true.
I'll talk about the week coming up. Maybe I'll talk about the week in the past and cover everything you already did. Maybe I'll just copy and paste your article.
Maybe.
It might just be things that only interest me. I don't know.
But on Mondays, I'm gonna be doing post game, kind of with a statistical bent. So be sure to check that out on BlinkinRileyPresents.com. So, all right. That was a good stream. Good show, guys. I'm glad everybody came out. Thanks for coming and chatting. We'll be here next Wednesday. We do some periodic kind of impromptu streams every once in a while, but next Wednesday for sure. So be sure to come check us out.
Later, dudes.
Later, guys.